Day 5, applying the trig ratios. This is where the trigonometry just becomes, I guess, normal in the sense that we're not doing like one section at a time, right? It's not going to be tan only or sine and cos only. It's going to be all three of them. So this is where you really have to be aware of what's going on. Okay, so at the top, you have the textbook reference as where you can find this in the book. And your acronym SOHCAHTOA, which goes with those three formulas. If, for some of you, you want to put this one here, and that helps you with your cross multiplying, this is fine. Okay? So let's build some of these ratios. Let's build some of these ratios. We'll start with angle A. So all you have to do is mark angle A. And relative to A, which side is opposite? 4. So let's use those formulas. Let's do the first one. Sine of angle A will be which ratio? Good, 4/5. Why is 5 in the bottom? Because it's the hypotenuse. Excellent. Across the 90 degree, the long side. So if sine A is 4/5, what does cos A have to be? 3/5. Good, because both sine and cos are related to the hypotenuse. One will do op, the other will do adj. And finally, tangent, op over adj, 4/3. Excellent. If you look at these ratios, tangent's the only one that allows you to have the numerator larger than the denominator. For sine and cos, the denominator has to be the hypotenuse, the biggest side. So you'll always have proper fractions for sine and cos and improper for... It doesn't have to be improper for tangent, but it could be. Now it doesn't matter which one of those you pick. Pick one of them and do the second function. They should all give you the same answer. So go second function sine, put in 4/5. Or do second function cos, put in 3/5. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Just be consistent. And what's the angle at A? 53? All right. So let's switch color and let's go to angle at C. Let's mark C here with blue. Now, which side is opposite relative to C? 3. And does the hypotenuse change? No. So you have 3/5. So if that one's 3/5, what does the cosine of C have to be? Good, 4/5. Now you see this pattern here. Look at how they have swapped. They've swapped because the opposite and the adjacent have swapped. Now the tangent of C will be op over adj, 3/4. Now these two, they have swapped op and adj in the same formula, so they like reciprocate each other. So that's interesting. And then pick one of those. It doesn't matter which one. Pick one of them. Do doesn't matter which one you do here. Let's do inverse cos of 4/5. See what you get. $37? Okay, and then it doesn't matter which one you do, so I'll just jot it in the black ink. I'll do tangent. Inverse tangent of 4/3. And then I should get 53. Now, what do you notice about those two? What do they add up to? They add to 90 degrees. Does that make sense? Because all three of the angles in the triangle have to add up to 180. So these two acute angles marked in black and blue have to add up to 90 because this one already takes up 90. 90 and 90 make 180. All right, question? there's like 4 or 5 different ways you could fill this out. Yeah. Just trying to show the relationships all in one sort of page here. Any questions before we move on? Okay, so try to memorize this structure. This is an excellent page to study off of. It helps you build the ratios. It's got the acronym at the top. Got the 180 rule in there. And some solving for angles with the second function. The only thing that this is missing is solving for sides, because all the sides are already given, right? That's the 3, 4, 5 triangle. Okay, let's keep going. Follow these steps for solving trig problems. Drawing a diagram is crucial. If you noticed on number 2 in the quiz, if you can't get that diagram, like, do you even have a chance to solve the problem? So that's what the written response will be like on Friday. If you can't sketch the problem, it might be tough for you. Okay, so then you have to label, of course, op, adj, and hype. I usually do the op first, because that's relative to the angle you're working with. And then I'll do the hype second, because that's just opposite the 90. And then the adjacent sort of fills itself for free, because there's only one side left. So I do them in that order, 1, 2, 3. Now determining which trig function you need to use, this is where you have the acronym written down on your page, and you're like, okay, the question wants me to find op, and I have information about hype, so I can use this one here. They've given me op, and they want hype, so I have to use SOHCAHTOA. Or pardon me, I have to use sine. Okay, and then you have to set up and solve. The solve, remember, you have lots of different options. There's cross multiply, and there's 2 variations of these, right? One where you times and one where you divide. So there's 2 variations. That's when the unknown is in the top or the unknown is in the bottom. And if you've done enough of these problems, you're going to start to memorize all this. And then the last one is the second function feature, right? What's that for? Solving for angles. So use the second function if you have unknown angle. That's what it says here at the last. So I'm just repeating myself. You guys ready to move on and do some questions? You really want to get a strong understanding of trig, as this is the one unit that you'll find everywhere. Math 20, Math 30, it just seems to pop up everywhere, even in calculus. Even in like the applied sciences like physics, you'll find the basic trig in there as well. Okay, so this trig stuff you gotta really know. Okay, first question says solve the triangle. That's like code word for find all angles and sides. So you'll definitely be asked to do that on a test. They'll give you a triangle, they'll give you some stuff, and you got to find everything you could possibly find. All angles, all sides. Okay, so they're telling us that the right angle is at B. So you could draw the little square at B. AB is line segment 9 centimeters, so you can throw a 9 up there. Line segment BC is 17, so you can throw a 17 right there. I mean, could you find that missing side like right away? Without any of those angles? Throw it out there. What is it going to be? Pythagoras? Long side or short side? Long side. Do we add or subtract? Add. Okay, so you could do that one quick. Remember the shortcut for that one? All in one step on your calculator. Just like that. And you've solved for the long side. 19 exactly? 19.2? Thanks. That makes this lesson go by quicker. And then they want us to find the other 2 angles. So pick one of them. Which one do you want to start with, A or C? A? You want to do A? Okay, let's just pick A. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So here's A. And to be honest, guys, you know how sometimes when you round, you sort of lose accuracy? Right? So use 9 and 17 in your calculation, because those are the exact values from the question. So using angle A, what does that make 17? Opposite of A, perfect. We just solved for the height. We know that's up there. So what does the 9 have to be? The adjacent. So which formula is going to do 9 and 17 op and adj? Very nice, you guys. Some of you are spitting out answers like boom, boom, boom. That's awesome. So we can go slower on this one. Let's go tangent. What goes next to the tangent? The angle, right? So let's go capital A there because that's the angle over at capital A. And we will use op over adj. That's the formula. Plug in what you know. Op is 17 and adjacent is 9. How do you get rid of that tan? So you could isolate for A. Inverse, good. So then you'd have the inverse tan of 17 over 19 solving for A. Inverse tan, make sure you're in degree mode. Got 62 degrees. That's a straight calculator thing. So if this guy is 62, what does that force angle C to be? All you got to do is subtract from 90. What's missing from 90? 28? 28? That's not bad. So for this I did 90 subtract 62. All right, so sometimes when we go through this process, I teach you sine, cosine, tan. It's very easy to forget about the Pythagorean theorem. So don't forget, you still have Pythagorean theorem at your disposal. Okay? And then the 180 rule for triangles, that's probably taught early junior high. You might forget that one too, so don't forget that one. Okay, let's jump to number 3. This question is involving angle of elevation. Let's do a quick review of angle of elevation. You can maybe jot this on the side. Those are the two that you need to know about. Angle of elevation or angle of depression. Elevation, you're feeling up, elevated. You always go up from the horizontal. Depression, you're feeling down. You always go down from the horizontal. And those two angles are the same. Good. Angle of depression, angle of elevation. Okay, let's see if we can sketch this problem. A 20-meter tower. How tall is the tower? Okay, that's the height. Supported by a 40-meter wire. This, for the English, like, who cares? It's just a wire. A 40-meter wire. To the top of the tower. So you need, this is your tower. Here's the ground. You need a wire like this. I don't have my straight edge tool out, so it's a little bit wavy. What's the length of that tower? 20. What's the length of that wire? 40. What are they asking us to solve for? Pardon me? Angle of inclination, which is another word for angle of elevation. So remember, go up from the horizontal. So everybody knows what we're talking about. Angle of elevation is up from the horizontal. So notice on this one, they give you the sides and ask for the angle. So you're going to have to do the second function at the end here. Just have to identify which formula you want to use first. Just staring at that guy. Where's the right angle? With the tower and the ground, right? So what does that make the 40? Height. And then the angle I want is down in this corner here. What side is the 20 relative to that angle? Op, because it's straight across, right? It's opposite it. So which one do we got to use? SOHCAHTOA. Is it obvious to most? Because which one didn't they tell us anything about? The edge, the distance from the base of the tower to the wire on the ground. They didn't tell us anything about edge. I don't know anything about that, so I can't use this, I can't use this. Because those both involve edge. Alright, so we can fill in what we know. Op over hype. Op over hype. How do you solve for this one? Second sign. This one I have memorized because it's half. Anybody want to yell it out? Very nice. 30. 1 decimal place, 30.0. Is that okay? 30.0. Alright, hopefully you guys are getting good at this procedure. Alright, 20-meter high fire tower, whatever that is. I just know I got a 20-meter tower. So go straight up with a rectangle. This is 20. And there's the ground. Now this one is kind of weird. Angle of depression this time. So what do you know about angle of depression? Are you feeling up or down? And you always go from the horizontal. This one I'll use a straight edge tool so it's neat. That's really thick, but whatever. That's a horizontal line, you agree? So I can only go down 2 degrees. I made that longer, or bigger than it would actually be. 2 degrees is quite small. I wouldn't have enough room on my page. So what's going to happen? This is going to be really far. I'm going to switch the line to a thick line. Way out here. Finish off that triangle. So if it's 2 degrees up in that corner, what does it make this one down here? The same, just 2 degrees. What's it asking us to find? How far is the fire from the tower? Is this the fire over here? He spotted the fire. There's a person up here using their eyeballs. They spot the fire way down there at an angle of depression. So let's call this big distance x. That big distance x. What are the labels relative to 2? Let's use this 2 down in the corner. What are the labels relative to that 2? 20 is? We want to find x, so x is adjacent. We don't know nothing about the height. Nothing. What does that force us into? Because sine and cosine both use height, right? We can't use those 2. So we gotta go to tan. What goes next to tan, no matter what? What always goes next to the tan on the left side of the equation? Because you can't just leave those things hanging. Sine, cosine, tan, they always have to have something attached to it, which is a angle. So tan of 2 is equal to op over edge. Which one goes on top? 20. Edge, we gave a label of x. When you have the unknown in the denominator, switch them. Top left and bottom right. 20 divided by tan 2. I got 573. And I just want you to have a little bit of a mental break right here for 30 seconds. And I just want you to think, does that number make sense? It's really large compared to the height of the tower. But is that okay in this case? Why? Yeah, because of how small the angle is. Okay? Let's pretend that the tower is this shelf thing, and this remote control is the guy's head. If it's a really sharp angle, is it very far away from the base? And it's a large angle relative to the horizontal. If you can't see, stand up. Relative to the horizontal, it's quite large, right? But what if I make it relatively small to the horizontal? Much longer and farther away the adjacent will be, right? So that's what all this stuff is. It's just how the angles relate to the sides. One more to go, guys, and then you can have time to work, and I'll pass around your old quizzes, and you can make arrangements with me to come in at East to try to fix them up. Okay, so we got a sailor in his boat on the ocean looking towards a cliff. Angle of elevation given. And the cliff's height is given. How far is he from the base? So here's your cliff. Here's the water. And then you just want to fit a right angle triangle in there. That's not too bad, right? So you're just always looking to draw a right angle triangle. I'm thinking you'd put it against the edge of the cliff, right? Something like that. Angle of elevation, so up from the horizontal. The cliff is 110. And what do we want to find? How far away from the base? So we want to find the horizontal distance on the ground. So call that x on the bottom. SOHCAHTOA. I wonder which one. Which one do we don't know? Which label do we know nothing about? Yeah, good, you guys starting to see this. This hype, we don't know anything. We don't want to solve for it. We don't have information about it. Ignore any question or any formula that has it. Oh, can't do so. Oh, can't do cos. Gotta use tan. What always goes next to tan? The angle. Now you just fill in op over adj. Which one of those is op? 110 or x? 110. Ooh, unknown in the bottom. They gotta switch. Some of you are getting real good at this. So 110 over tan 35. So as I put the answer on, and as you transition to your homework, please keep the room quiet as you have a test this Friday. You want to respect the wishes of others. They want to study and use the time effectively. If you look at this assignment, sometimes I have like this odd on here. It just means you can do like every second question. You don't have to do every single, because it gets a really, you're doing the repetitive, thank you, the question over and over again, right? So if it says 3 to 6 odd and it's like A, B, C, D, just do A and C. And if you want to do all 4, that's fine too. And I'll come around passing out your quizzes from previous days.